Welcome, finalists, to episode 16 of The Vault. We are back. This is our big catch-up episode. Figure out exactly what's happened over the month that we have been gone. I am Waltz, one of your hosts as always. I am joined by Rio. How's it going, Rio? It is good to be back.
It is good to be back, and I'm doing great today. And today's episode is sponsored by Alpha Acta. Safe, secure, overpowered. Perfect. And, as Walt said, this is kind of the catch-up episode. So we've been away for about a month, which doesn't sound like a terribly long amount of time. But, Walt and I, before recording this, were just like, wow, there's a lot that we've kind of missed. But before we get started, let's have a little, hot take. Do you guys put ketchup on your steaks? Are y'all kind of those kind of people, or are y'all more dignified? I don't know. Let us know in the comments. But with that said,
I'll tell you what you don't expect: ketchup on popcorn. You ever tried that one?
No, and I don't think I ever will. With that said, let's dive into the meat and potatoes of this conversation, and let's have our first event that happened pretty much right after we recorded our last episode, and it was the Pro Hub Summer Showcase. Basically, what this was is the Pro Hubs, we were in between Season 0 and in between Season 1, and we just kind of wanted to do something. They wanted to have an event. So they pulled everybody in there that had not played in the past season of Pro League, and they said, hey, do you guys want to play? If you don't meet that qualification, come on in. And basically everybody came over, and we had 3 top tier teams. We had really just a lot of people coming out to play. Waltz, do you remember how many people signed up for that? Just teams or anything like that?
It was upwards of 24 teams. I think
That's
we might have
huge.
had around 30. Like it was a lot of teams. There were a lot of people that was especially coming off the excitement of watching the season. It was really cool to see people be like, oh yeah, I didn't get to participate in the season. I really want to take part in something Pro Hub Sunday related.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And, one of the teams that we wanted to highlight is BBW. They actually ran heavy, light, and this was Akazo running heavy, of course, and Junker and Grazitive. I'm probably mispronouncing that.
Yeah, Junker and
Graziv, yeah, of course. See, yeah, I can't pronounce anything. But it sounds like they had an amazing run. I was actually there to watch a good chunk of it, and Waltz was casting it with randomized. So Waltz is really kind of involved in that event. And do you have any kind of takeaways from that first event, Pro Hub Summer Showcase?
Yeah, there was some really neat stuff there. First off, to clarify, it was 32 teams. I just checked. 32 teams.
Nice.
Which is crazy. The fact that we made that work was insane. So that was quite a day. But I think what was really cool is once you kind of skimmed that top layer of teams off, you had teams that were really trying new stuff. The team that won, like you said, was Akazo's team. They ran heavy, light for most of the event. They ran Goo Gun, Deagles on Akazo. It was something really special. And then, there were changes here and there. Some teams ran light, medium, heavy. A lot of teams ran light, medium, heavy. So there were some double mediums in there. We saw HMM, I think, was the second place team ran that, things of that nature. So it was really neat to see how once you pull off those teams that have the meta really figured out and are so strong, there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of versatility right underneath the surface. And that was really exciting because you don't always see that in a lot of these top, especially as over the season, right? Like teams start to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, and this was before the new season had started, so this was one of the last events that we're aware of before this last season ended. So kind of a cool way to just kind of round it up and wrap everything up before everything ended. And new season started, and we got a whole brand new meta. And do you know this is kind of a next event? Let's go ahead and talk about that. Lead into the PMurph coaching event. Yeah, you want to give us a rundown of that, Waltz?
Absolutely. So again, this was I want to give a shout out to PMurph. You'll have to check out his channel in the link below. He puts on a lot of community events, various different, similar to kind of the way I do things, events that anybody can join, different types of formats, different types of ideas. And this one was really unique. I really actually liked the way he did this one. So this was a coaching event, essentially, and you had a bunch of people sign up, and then there were 4 different coaches. So we brought in a lot of really good players: Apo, Normalized, Strafes, and Kip. were the 4 coaches, and they were given 3 players each. They randomized it, gave them 3 players, and then they got a week to coach them, spend time with them, run them through strats, analyze them, try to improve their gameplay, and then at the end of that week, ran them through a small double elimination tournament to see how they've improved, were they able to work on things, give some content to the coaches, but also it was a neat event, get to actually participate and do some actual improvement, I think, which was really, really cool.
I don't know of any other event like this. It sounds just really kind of testing the waters for maybe kind of future stuff, and I think that sounds cool. Just even the idea that we're getting coaches in the finals is a really big step to me, because we're seeing it. We've even seen posts on like pro hubs, like on the forums or on the side looking like, say, who needs coaching, or I'm available for it. And I just think it's a really cool evolution. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on coaches? Do you think it's a big step, or is it just kind of expected almost?
It's kind of an expected step it's a big step but an expected one. Like anytime you have people starting to take the game more seriously, you're going to have coaches come in. And in this instance, it definitely is like, people that are a little bit lower. I think most of these players were around platinum, maybe cool. Gold. So they were not top players, but they were already like decent enough at the game. And so there was sort of like an improvement side of things. But I know that a lot of the top teams are also starting to sign coaches as well moving forward. There's going to be some actual coaches. That's maybe we see teams bring coaches to the major as well. There's always a benefit to having that fourth voice in the call that isn't in the emotions of your game, right?
Yeah,
it's very beneficial to have that.
Yep. Nope. That's absolutely awesome. And definitely check out that event. We'll have a link to it in the comments or in the info below. But that brings us to our next event, which is actually Meech and Merch had a 1 versus 1 event. This was really unique, and I think that they spent a lot of time trying to kind of cook around it. And basically, they wanted to see what it was like if they could do 1 versus 1. And one thing that I really appreciated is that they tried to stay away from the meta for the most part. So they didn't want this to be just a really stale thing where everybody comes in and it turns into just like, something, just 2 AKs trying to shoot each other. But he really had these kind of unique loadouts that were for each map and for each class. A whole ban system and all that with it as well. But it led to some really unique games. I came in and checked out the very end of it and just really enjoyed what I saw. People were really commenting pretty heavily about how good the format was as well. So that was cool, and it was just a really fun event, and I think one of just the first big experiences that we've seen that 1 versus 1 might be competitive, might be even more competitive now that he kind of had these weird twisted rules around it as well. So just a really cool event, and again, we will have that in the comments as well below. But then one more event as well. We are going through a ton of events, and I'll hand this one over to Waltz. But we had the Ape Squad Volcanic Panic event. And you want to give us a rundown about the fabled Ape Squad and what they were doing?
Yeah, so Ape Squad, of course, love to have their 3v3 events. That is really what they focus on. They love the one-on-one, the mano-a-mano aspect of it, similar to the 1v1 tournament. But this one was your standard 3v3. A lot of the biggest teams in there. $600 prize pool. Fantastic production quality. We will leave a link to the video for that one because you absolutely should check out the stuff that Ape Squad does. They're incredible. If you have not heard of them already, they do some incredible stuff. But it was a very neat event. A lot of the biggest teams. We had after hours in there from the actual season. We had fourth party Cashbox. 200 MS were there. Bricked ended up winning the event. I think what was pretty cool is actually Make-A-Wish, another team, got to second place. And then some names that we saw, so Normalize, Airrock, and Strafes made it to fourth place. I was very impressed by that, and it was neat to see some players that didn't do as well in this season getting a little bit higher, which was very fun. It was really neat. It's always fun to see. Having more events is always better because there's always teams that are going to be able to show their stuff and just get a little bit unlucky in some of these events. So and to add to that too, I actually got to cast this event with Young for the first time.
I had never really kind of worked with Young before, and it was quite fun. I think that we held a really good introduction to that event. So I'm a little bit biased, but go check it out because I think we had a really good duo going there. And then it was led up by Sensoyo and I believe Y Satan Y. I might have the I believe it's Y Satan Y.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
So yeah, and they did an amazing job just kind of wrapping it up. So just from the casting perspective and even the production side as well, it's mentioned, it was really quite a cool event, and definitely gotta love the Ape Squad guys because they're doing some fun stuff. But yeah, moving on to now, Waltz, you have been busy, as if you weren't busy enough already with all of this other stuff we've talked about. You have just been finals grinding it, nose to the grindstone, and I gotta give you, commending you right now because that's impressive. But let's talk about your first event because we got a couple on this list.
Yeah, so the first big event that I ran was the Waltz Summer Championship. So for my anniversary sort of in this scene, because I started hosting events just a little over a year ago now.
Nice.
The middle of June was it was like June 11th or something like that. So it was the middle of June was the first time I ran an event for the finals. I wanted to do something really fun, and then I actually got the ability to do something fun. I got to chat with some of the people at Embark, and the format for this was actually based off of some of the ideas that they had for what like a major could look like. It was some of the format ideas, some concepts, and so I got the ability to test out some of the ideas. It wasn't like it was never like, oh, here's your format, here's what it's going to be, can you run it? But it was hey, here's some things that we've considered. Does this work? And so I got the chance to test out kind of a little bit of a different format. I always love to run a lot of Cashout, but this one was really fun. So it was actually a 2-day event. It was a big event, and I got to run a lot of really neat stuff. We ran like small tournaments, essentially like a world tour style tournament where you would actually have to progress through and get to first place. And so, and then we included some lower bracket runs so you could get all the way all the way through 8th instead of just being 5th through 8th after the first round. And then stage 2 is a really interesting one where we put the top 8, we split them into groups of 4. And then the groups of 4 would play rounds of Cashout. The top 2 would then play in a final round, and then they would go back to Cashout. And every time you win a round, you would get points, and you tried to move to you tried to achieve a certain level of points. And then once you hit a certain amount of points, you would have to win the whole. You would have to win a final round to win the event, and then move on to the grand finals against the team from the other group. If that sounds familiar, it is because it's similar to kind of what ALGS does on Apex. It's also similar to what Trackmania does with their tournaments. They have you get points for winning until you eventually reach a finalist position, and then you have to win once more to actually move on. So it works for a lot of those. I think it would work pretty well for the finals. It was fun to do. It's something that I actually did back in December of last year. I ran my Christmas Cash Out event, which was a very similar concept. This was just kind of iterated on a little bit. It was a lot of fun. We definitely I got to cast this one with Jerry. Jerry helped me out a lot in setting up the event, making sure it ran smoothly. We found a lot of flaws in it. We found there were some good things, there were some bad things, there were areas that it needed to be improved. And what was neat is then I got to take that feedback and I got to send that back over to the guys working on the major, and I could say, here's what worked, here's what didn't work, and they are going to take that. They're going to come out with something that I'm sure will be a lot better than what I was able to put together here. But it was fun to do something a little bit more unique and try and spice things up, because I've talked with you about this endlessly, Rio, but this game is so unique, especially because of Cashout, that I always feel like there's room to try out new formats, because I don't want to get locked into, as much as I love the focus on the high intensity, the real true test of mechanical skill that is the 3v3, and I know a lot of people love that, the Ape Squad guys, that is what they focus on, because that is the part they love about the game. But I love getting to try out some of these other things and see just how far you can push the formats.
Yeah, no, and I think that's so cool that also that we see that Embark isn't just committed to a format. They didn't dive directly into it. They're not doing an untested format either. So getting feedback and doing it off of small events yours, I hesitate to even call it a small event. It was definitely a pretty big event in my perspective. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see the kind of the lessons that they're kind of learning from all this, and to see what it finally might be like. So anyway, moving on to another event that Waltz did, and that is the Blast Off event. And to give you guys just a quick background in the Blast Off event, right now it's a mode that was made for me. I guarantee it. This is their love letter to me somehow. They read my journal, my private diary at night, where I just scribble about, wow, what if I could be a medium that had a dash and could fly and could shoot my CL-40? And I mean, really, it sounds like a dream. My little dream journal, I think they came in and copied it directly from me. So it's a really cool event. And even, I think today or yesterday, they removed this like blocky effect, or gave you the option to remove it. Yeah. And that was my only complaint. So now that's gone. It's just like, oh yeah, this is... I'm gonna have to send another email to like not remove this mode. This is just gonna have to be there. I'm sorry, Embark. You're gonna have to rework your menu to make that a permanent mode. But that's me explaining it. If you haven't played it, you're crazy. Go check it out. But Waltz did an event in this because he has just been going hard at it. So Waltz, talk about what you did, why you wanted to do this, and go from there.
I really enjoyed the last few LTMs that they did. I mean, with the last season and running heavy hitters, and then this season with Blast Off, it feels like they've been on a roll of doing unique matches. Like the last LTM we had before that, I believe, was the Snowball event, right? Where they were essentially testing out Team Deathmatch, which was cool, but also not something I really cared about that much. It was fun for a moment, but it wasn't so fun that I found myself sort of diving into it and playing over and over again. But things like Heavy Hitters and Blast Off, they're finals to their core, but they are also different and so unique and so creative. Like you said, give the medium a dash and then just make it low gravity, so it's a Quake shooter. You know, it feels like with the floatiness and the flying and the projectiles, like it is a love letter to the old days of Quake and Tribes and a lot of those sort of video games that I got to play and grew up playing. And I just really like to shine kind of a spotlight on that. I did that with the Heavy Hitters event and got some people to play there, and I got some people to play this one. It was very short. I ran a small event for North America, and I ran a small event for Europe, because the ping matters a lot in this event, and each one only ended up lasting about an hour, just because I wanted to keep it short, keep it sweet. But it's fun to get a put to highlight on these, because I think they're really hitting their stride with these limited time modes. I know people enjoyed like some of the events at the beginning, like season 1 and 2, but those were never really that creative. It was more just, here's a locked loadout, you can play with this locked loadout. These are way more experimental.
Well, and I actually want to go off of that, because part of what I have been asking for a while, and I think, I don't know if we recorded it or if I've just talked to too many people about it, but one of the things that I really felt that private matches could benefit from is exactly what we're seeing here. Just give us the idea or the option to kind of create mutators or kind of these wild modes on our own, where if I wanted to have mediums that all had dash, or heck, if I wanted to have all heavies and give them, the cloak that the lights have, or just let's go crazy, like let's have an entire lobby where every class that you have has now the claw, or the winch claw, or can zip around with the what's it called, the thing that you use all the time, not the zip line, the grapple. Let's get crazy, let's get creative, and I think that they're doing it for the first time, because just that cross between giving a medium a light ability and then playing with stuff like gravity, and it's cool. It makes me kind of hopeful. I hope that we will kind of branch off from that and go that way. But yeah, fingers crossed. I just feel like I have another email to send, and I'm sure that they love me. Those emails.
I mean, I'm sure they appreciate it. I know they, knowing that people are interested in the limited time modes and having things like the Heavy Hitters event. Like that's one of the things they can point to and say, here's why we're going to put these in private matches now, because this is also the first time Heavy Hitters, the first time they put it into private matches, and that's really nice, because then you can actually get to participate in it with your friends and things like that. So excited for what they're doing with a lot of that. There's definitely a lot more they can do, and I'm excited to see where they go, because the sky really is the limit. It's such a fun sandbox, and when you tear down all of the walls, the world is your oyster in this one. But that one didn't have, honestly, in terms of like actual stuff to talk about, it wasn't the biggest event, but we did have a really big event because Pro Hub Season 1 is now begun. We are in the thick of it. The play days start on the 9th of July. This is almost certainly going to be out by that time, so you can check out the VODs for it. But Wednesdays and Saturdays are Pro Hub Season 1 play days, and we had the qualifiers because there were 4 open slots for each region, and we had to qualify teams for that. It was a big event. We ended up having 20 teams sign up for both North America and Europe, so it was actually 40 teams overall. It was actually more than that as well. Not every team was able to participate because we had to cap it eventually, and so we capped it at 20. We weren't able to go past that, but it was a significant number of people that were interested and were trying to partake, and we got some really exciting teams out of it.
That's incredible. Just the fact that we're here, Season 1, we've done it. We've made it past Season 0, and it's starting again. There was a little bit of a break, and it's cool to see games are kicking off. And then the idea that we have all this interest, all these people that have put together teams that tried out. I know that when you go look at like all the people that signed up and played in the qualifiers, there's a ton of people I had never seen before. And I think that that's really indicative of just kind of where the community is, where the scene is right now. And it's getting more and more exciting. And yeah, I love that we're here again. And yeah, Waltz, you want to kind of break down the 4 teams? So we went from 20 on each side, only 4 qualified. You want to break down the NA side of who made it in?
Yeah, so on NA we had the, like you said, only 4 teams made it through. We played some cash-out matches, winnowed it down to 8, played some 3v3, winnowed it down to our final 4, and we have Nether, Steppers, Via, and Off Key, who are the teams that were able to qualify. Like you said, there are some definite new names. Some of these names I know, like for instance in Steppers, Kip, Unfortunate, on Via, Sergnal, Mr. Tinder, Cafaneo, Grimlock, all of those are players I'm aware of. All of those are players we've seen if you've been watching any of the competitive scenes so far. But then in the rest of it, like there were a lot of players that were a little bit new. Like on Nether, I've seen Barbarous a couple times, but Noose, Ricardo, they're new players. Just Angel on Steppers is a new player. On Off Key, I've seen Epi once before, and then Honor and Marshy were playing with him. Like overall, it was just like there were some very new names and names that were genuinely styling a bit. Like I was very impressed with the quality of the games that I got to see. It was really actually very impressive and very fun to watch. And I'm excited because like you said, like it's fun to get these teams in. When we look at what everybody is talking about Bricked at this point, right? Like Busy STN and Stu, like everybody knows those guys because of the name they made for themselves. But they also were a qualifier team from Season 0.
Oh yeah,
they hadn't played together. They made the stack for the season and it worked. It popped off in a major way. Obviously they were known before that. They'd played things before, but that's when they really hit it big. And so I'm excited to see if maybe we have another team like Bricked that's going to show up. Are they going to be able to show up? Can they find something that really works for them? Are these names maybe that we get to see in the future and maybe see in the upcoming major? So that's always the most exciting part about these qualifiers for me is the potential.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And they're on the EU side as well. We'll just give a quick rundown of the teams that qualified as well, because same thing. And it basically, but we have a fun little story we'll give after as well, because one of the teams things shook up. But let me run down this. We have the GOATs that qualified, Team Extreme, Vatican Esport, and 200 Books. All of those teams have made it through. And just kind of looking through some of the names, I only recognize a few. That's actually really quite exciting. Like Team Extreme, I recognize Rapika, Executor, and Samkobox. The GOATs, I recognize basically everybody. The Carnifex, Palma, Trees, and Mauser. They're all pretty well-known names. But you get Vatican Esports, and I don't know anybody. There's a guy named SpongeBob on that team. I mean, and 200 Books. I've seen Idiot before. He's known, but hey, that's still in Krieger. Okay, so there are some names that I know, but I don't think they're as well known to everybody else. And I think that that's super exciting. It means that they're still competing. They're still getting out there. And yeah, somebody named SpongeBob. That's caught my eye.
Yeah.
But
who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
Old SpongeBob. Not doing it.
You better be singing along at home. I did this for you.
There we go. All right, but with that, one of the interesting things that we have found in the finals is that Cashout is so unique, and in an aspect that made this side, the EU side, interesting. I'll just let Waltz take it from there, because tell us your unique, involved experience in the EU side.
So I was just planning to help on the back end. I was about to run map bans. Everything was going smoothly. And like I said, we had some extra teams on the North American side. We had a few teams that were able to fill if we had drops, but we only had exactly 20 teams on the Europe side. And one of the things about Cashout, it's fun to have 4 teams, but it makes running tournaments and formats very, very difficult, because if you don't have 4 teams, if a team drops, you can't run the game mode. It is incredibly imbalanced with 3 teams. It just doesn't work. Normally, if it's a normal game like Counter-Strike, you can just give a team a bye. You don't have to run the match anyways. But we had to fill, and so I started calling people last minute. I was like, are you available to play? We need a fill team. And then we didn't have a third, so I actually played in the Europe qualifiers with Ploparn and Negative. So huge shout out to Ploparn. We'll link his stream below as well. He's a bow player. We played with a sword player, and I ran Flame because I knew I couldn't keep up with these guys aim-wise, but I figured I could at least roast them a little bit. So it was a fun experience. I have actually never, as much casting as I have done for these events, I've never gotten to be on the other side of it. It was a lot of fun to do. We actually almost got first place once. We just we doubled when we shouldn't have doubled. We made a tactical error. It was in the bag, and then we fumbled. But that's very typical for my ranked games, anyways. So it was a fun experience. It was. We didn't end up making it through, but we didn't get last place, and for me, that's a win.
Heck yeah, that is super exciting, and yeah, I'm a little envious that you got to pull that out. I was on vacation when 2 biggest things happened. We had the qualifiers, which I normally love because I mentioned it, new teams, new people, all that, and then the coolest mode ever, the limited time mode. So I went on vacation on the perfect time. But anyway, my jealousy will have to be pushed aside because that kind of wraps it up for the events that we've had so far. This has been a super exciting month. We're sorry that we've been away. We have been we've been here, we've been doing stuff, Waltz mainly, so give him again a big shout out for just being there for everything, and it's been cool, and I'm happy that we're back. We're gonna have a ton more coming up, and let's just kind of run over some upcoming events. First of all, you all know that Pro Hub Season 1 is happening right now. We're not going to dive into that again, but I think one of the biggest events coming up is actually Etelcup LAN. That's going to be in August 9th. And it's going to be the first LAN out there that I'm aware of that anybody has organized outside of a couple of events in Korea. I think this is super cool. So he's done it all on his own. He's kind of, not all on his own, but he's, really kind of done a lot of the groundwork to get an event, an arena, get people sponsoring it, get it set up. It's truly an amazing feat for Etelcup. Etelcup was one of our first guests on here. And do you have anything to kind of add to that, Waltz? Because it amazes me, honestly.
Yeah, we're going to make sure to link his Twitch, so swing by. If you happen to be watching from Europe, you should definitely look at going if you have the ability to do so, because it's going to be very neat. It's going to be exciting, and we'll be dropping all the information about that. But you're right, it's exciting. It's really cool to have somebody putting together an in-person event for the game, and that is such an undertaking, and I'm excited to see Etelcup do it because he really is just non-stop making really cool stuff for the game, and I'm very impressed by the work he does.
Yeah, and I might be going. I haven't really mentioned it much, but chatted with a couple people trying to figure out if I can do it financially, basically by sleeping on some couches. But we'll see. It might pan out, might not. But if I can, I really kind of want to make it. It's also right around there for my birthday, so I can kind of swing it as a birthday thing. I don't know.
Well, there we go. Okay, all right.
No promises, but I am trying. But anyway, let's move on to the next one, Waltz, which is probably the biggest upcoming event that we have. It's a pretty major one. Let's just start with that.
Yeah, and I assume you are talking about the Pro Hub Season 1, correct?
No.
Oh,
what?
we're talking about the major qualifiers. That is correct. The Embark is we don't have official information for it yet, but if you've seen that esports tab in game, then obviously we are going to be the qualifiers are coming up soon. I believe on the page, I think it was mentioned around August. I know there's not official dates that have come out yet, but around that time, so we're really only a few months away. I mean, at this point, what, we're like probably 2 months away if it's towards the end of August. So we are very, very close to knowing how the qualifiers are going to take place, but also what teams are actually going to qualify. And speaking of teams, because we'll have, when we get more information about the qualifiers, we will of course cover that with you. But there's been some exciting posts about the game from different esports orgs. After we recorded Alliance, actually, an esport org that have been in a variety of games: Valorant, Counter-Strike. They've been in League a little bit. I know they started in Dota. An org that one of the first esports events I ever watched, they won, which was such a formative experience for me. They announced that they are an official partner with Embark, and they're going to be looking for a team. A very exciting one, SpaceStationGaming announced that they are going to be hosting a team. A lot of people know those guys. They have teams in a lot of different esports. Rocket League is a very big one that they're part of. They are a very cool organization. They are very professional and do a lot of really cool content. I'm excited to see organizations that are actually quite large. These are solid organizations that do a lot of really good work, and they're showing some interest in the game, and they're showing interest in coming into the finals and starting to participate in this eco-structure.
Yep, that's super cool, and we'll try and include all of the announcements of people that have, kind of come on and in the comments, or not the comments, I keep saying comments, the description below, because, there is a lot. It's a super cool time to be just here. So much is happening, and, we're actually having big names come in. Alliance, that's huge. And I'm curious to see who they kind of sign on their teams, because we know, Pulsar, and we know their lineup, but I don't think we're aware of any other lineup yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, Waltz.
No, there haven't been any announcements yet. Everyone has kept that very, very close to the chest, so it'll be exciting to see what teams they've actually picked up, because a lot of the teams that we have in the Pro Hub Season 1 are kind of the top teams in the game right now. Like, over Season 0, they got a chance to show their stuff. It really was the main avenue for them to show that they were deserving of sponsorships. So we could see a lot of those teams. Like you said, Pulsar's already signed, but there's plenty of other solid EU teams. Thinking about teams like Saints 1, obviously the second Aimers boys on like Noax's team, groups like that. And then we have a lot of these teams on North American side as well, Holthouse Finest, Bricked, things of that nature. So excited to see which of these teams do get picked up, because a lot of them really deserve it.
Absolutely. Well, I guess that kind of brings us to the end of this episode, Waltz. We have gone over a lot. You have done a lot. I guess I'll leave you with the final thoughts for this, because you were involved in way more this month than I was. And so what is your feeling about, I'll just, try and sum it up like this. What are your feelings about this past month and kind of this next month? What are your thoughts? And I think we can kind of end on that.
This month has been such a really exciting time, because I think Pro Hubs, the Pro League that Pro Hubs have put together has been really exciting, and it's become large, not just in sort of the number of teams, but in the eyes of the people around, because a lot of these events don't end up happening. And so we did get a fun off-season type feel where the season ends and then a lot of events spring up, because that's when there's time for things, which was really, really exciting to see. So it was very neat to feel like there was a actual season and like off season for the game. I think that was really special. It was. I'm excited to see what happens with Season 1 and then the major, and so there's going to be a fun ebb and flow, and so it was very cool to see that take place and to get to participate in that. It's also a big time for experimentation in the game. Season 0 I thought was very good. I thought the format was quite solid, but then there's always improvements. My event, Ape Squad, continue to do a lot of their events, trying to make things as equal there. Pro Hubs are adjusting. Season 1 is going to be a little bit different. We'll be doing an episode later to talk about just exactly what is different with Season 1, break down all the new teams. But I think for me, this past month was a time of experimentation and sort of trying new things before we really lock in and move up to the qualifiers and make sure everyone is prepared. So the train is picking up steam. This right now is we've been looking forward to it for so long. For all of season 0, I feel like we were holding our breath and being like, okay, well, we're doing this, but what happens next? And now we know what happens next. We're starting to get more details about when things are coming out. So everyone is now just full speed ahead. We're going to lock in. We're going to get these teams happening. Teams are going to get signed. Players are going to get qualified to the major. The next few months, this is going to be a nonstop escalation of hype over the next few months.
Well, I think that's wonderful, Waltz. You have a great perspective on all this. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for episode 16 of The Vault. Thank you guys for listening, checking it out. Let us know if there's any event that you really enjoyed over this past month, anything that you're looking forward to. And of always, come check us out at Pro League Season 1, because Waltz and I will be casting as much as we can. And other than that, yeah, have a good one.
Thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon.